Okay, so we're going to start with number 11. We're going to do an example. So notice here that numbers 11 through, let's see, how far does it go? Through 18 are all asking you to find a sub 7. Okay, that's the same thing as f of 7. Okay, so if you've written it as function notation, that's the way that we would write that. So that's the value that we're going to be looking for. So we have to write the rule, and then we have to write find the term that we're looking for. So first thing we need to do is find the ratio. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, 27 divided by 3 is 3, so our common ratio is 3. And then our first term, so f of 1 here is 3. And now we're going to take that and plug it into our equation. And I'm going to continue using the f of n because that's what we're most familiar with. That's what we were using last week in the textbook. So I'm going to use this. So I'm going to use f of n is equal to, and I'm going to plug in the first term, and then I'm going to plug in the ratio and raised to the n minus 1 power. Okay, so this is the rule. This is the rule for any term in this sequence. If I want to find the 7th term, if I want to find the 20th term, if I want to find the 200th term, for this particular sequence, this is the formula that I would use. I would just plug in whichever term I'm looking for and solve. Okay, so in this case, we're going to look for f of 7. 3 times 3 raised to the 7 minus 1 power. Okay, and now I'm just going to take this and plug it straight into my calculator. Okay, that's the glory of this. All right, so we are going to do 3 multiplied by 3 raised. Okay, remember that raised button is this one right here below the clear button, to the, in parentheses, 7 minus 1, close parentheses. Okay, and then I hit the right arrow to bring that back down, press enter, and I find that f of 7 is equal to 2,187. And that means that if I continued this sequence, okay, and I did 3, 9, 27, then I multiplied that number by 27, then I multiplied that number by 27, and I kept going until I got to the 7th number. The 7th number that I had in that sequence would be 2,187. Okay, so you're going to continue doing that on the next problems. So we're going to go ahead and look at example 13 together. So example 13, we're going to do the same process. We will start with the ratio. So to find the ratio, we divide. So 200 divided by 400, 100 divided by 200, it all gives us a common ratio of 1/2. Okay, the first term of this sequence is 400. It's the first term that we have. So what we need to do now is plug those values in. Remember, this is our formula. F of 1 times r raised to the n minus 1. That's always going to be our formula. And so f of n is equal to the first term, which is 400, times the ratio, which is 1/2, raised to the n minus 1 exponent. Okay. Now that we have the rule, we are still looking for f of 7, so we're going to plug that in. So 400 times 1/2 raised to the 7 minus 1 power. All right, and so here we go. We're just going to plug it straight into our calculator again. So we have 400 times, 400 times 1/2 raised to the 7 minus 1 power. Okay, and when we press enter, we get 6.25. Okay, and so the 7th term of this is going to be 6.25, or 6 1/4. All right, then we move to number 15, same process. So we're going to look and find the ratio. So the ratio here, -4 divided by -1 is a positive 4. -16 divided by -4 is a positive 4, so the ratio here is 4. And the first term in this case is -1. So we're going to take these values and plug them in. So f of n is equal to first term, which is -1, times ratio, which is 4, raised to the n minus 1. This is the formula that we would use for any sequence in this, or any term in this sequence. So now we're looking still for f of 7. So we plug it in, -1 times 4 raised to the 7 minus 1, or raised to the 6th power, because 7 minus 1 is 6. So we're going to take that and plug it in. Negative 1 times 4 raised to 7 minus 1. Press enter, and we find that the 7th term is negative 4,096. Negative 4,096. Alright, and the last example here on these where we're looking for the 7th term is going to be number 17. We'll do this one together. Alright, so here we have 6 and negative 12 and then 24. So our ratio here, negative 12 divided by 6 is negative 2. 24 divided by negative 12 is also negative 2. So our ratio here is going to be negative 2. Our first term is going to be 6. That's the first term here in our sequence. So what we're going to do is plug this in. So f of n is equal to 6 times negative 2, and that's going to be raised to the n minus 1. Okay. Notice I went ahead and put that in parentheses just because it's a negative, and sometimes if we forget to put it in parentheses, the calculator can get confused in a little bit when we try to plug those numbers in. So again, we're looking for f of 7. So 6 times negative 2 raised to the 7 minus 1. And then we just plug that into the calculator again. So 6 times negative 2 raised to the 7 minus 1. And we press enter. And we find our answer to be 384. It's going to be our answer for that one. And of course, we could always check ourselves if we wanted to. You know, the first term is 6, the second is negative 12, and then the third is 24. And if we kept going with that pattern, 24 times negative 2 is negative 48, and that times negative 2 is 96, and that times negative 2 is negative 192, and that's the 6th term. And so we would do one more, and we would find the answer to be, negative 192 times negative 2, which is a positive 384. And so you see here that the 7th term does match the 7th term that we came up with. So there's always chances to check your answer. And so that's the answer for number 17. All right. I do have one more example I want to do with you. We're actually going to do number 19 together, which will make number 20 pretty simple for you. So we're going to do number 19 together. You're going to do number 20 on your own. And then we have a couple more notes that we're going to do in this last video. All right, so we're going to pause here, and then we'll come back on with one more video.